Okay, you have your NFL Week 7 predictions. So you have your first game, the Colts versus the Titans. Titans are coming off a bye week, and the Colts, they're coming off a, a barely win over the Jaguars. Their offense played great against the Jaguars. Their defense, not great though. They got behind 14-0, and they did manage to recover. Matt Ryan had a great game, and right now I think the Colts are hot, and the Titans are also hot. Derrick Henry looks a lot better, and Ryan Tannehill I'm still not sure of, but they usually split the Titans and Colts, and I take the Colts this time since the Titans won the first time. Then you have the Ravens versus the Browns. Ravens coming off another fourth quarter defeat against the Giants. Their offense just cannot get it going in the fourth quarter. Their defense held the Giants held them really well, but in the end let them go for 2 touchdowns and the offense and a bunch of turnovers. While the Browns come off at just a terrible loss against the Patriots, the offense could not get going, and the Patriots totally shut down their offense, and their defense couldn't do much either. This one, I think the Ravens are just a better team, and especially with Jacoby Brissett, I think he can win the game by throwing. So I'm gonna take the Ravens. Then you have the Raiders versus Texans, both coming off of byes. Both aren't doing well. I think the Texans are 1-3-1, and the Raiders are 1-4. But the Raiders have way more talent, and they don't get managed, so I'll pick them. Then you have the Broncos versus the Jets. Broncos come off a narrow loss against the Chargers, and the Jets come off a great win over the Packers. The Jets, they're looking a lot better, especially their defense. Quinton Williams had a great game against the Packers. Overall, Sauce looked great. Overall, their defense looked great. Their offense, not so much, but it's been improving. And the Broncos, they haven't. Their offense looks terrible, but they have a great defense. I think this one's going to be defensive game. Um, and this one, it's going to me. I think the Broncos' home field advantage will get them in. Then you have the Dolphins versus the Steelers. Sunday nighter, the Dolphins get Tua back, and the Steelers come off a win against the Bucks, where their couple of defensive players played really well. And Mitchell Trubisky might be starting this one, and I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take the Dolphins because Tua's coming back, so I think they'll get revenge. Then you have the Bengals versus the Falcons. Falcons come off a surprise win over the 49ers, and the Bengals coming off a narrow win over the Saints. The Bengals, their offense looking a lot better now against the Saints. Their defense has been good, but not great against the Saints. While the Falcons, they did great against the 49ers defense. Their offense did really well, and the 49ers and the Falcons defense also slowed down the 49ers offense, but I'm going to still take the Bengals here. Then you have the Jaguars versus the Giants. Um, Jaguars, they come off a close loss against Indianapolis. Their offense did well. They had a 14-0 lead, but their defense could not hold and let Matt Ryan score on them. While the Giants come off a close comeback win against the Ravens, Giants just keep on winning. Their offense didn't play well until the end, but their defense in the end, in clutch time, managed to force 2 turnovers, and Giants just keep on winning, so I'll take them. Then you have the Chargers versus the Seahawks. Very interesting game right now. I think this one's definitely a trap game. Seahawks, they're coming off a good win over the Cardinals. They pretty much shut down Murray and that offense, and the Seahawks offense, they didn't do great. Metcalf didn't have a great game. Geno Smith had a good game, but they've been doing well. And the Chargers coming off a a very close win against the Broncos in overtime, and their offense did not really look that good against the Broncos. They couldn't score in the first quarter and just did not look that good overall. Their defense did well against the Broncos. Uh, I think this one's gonna be a very tight game, a very exciting game, and I'm gonna take the Chargers as a home field advantage. And you have the Chiefs versus the 49ers. 49ers come off an upset loss against the Falcons. Chiefs come off a narrow loss against the Bills, and to me, the 49ers are injured right now. They couldn't stop an Atlanta offense. I don't think they can stop a Kansas City Chiefs offense, so I'm gonna take the Chiefs. And the Bears versus the Patriots on Monday night. Patriots, their defense these past 2 games have been great. The Bears' offense these past 2 games have not. I'm gonna take the Patriots. Then you have the Cardinals versus the Saints on Thursday night. The Saints, their offense did well against the Bengals, but their offense could have done better. They did slow down the Bengals' offense for a little bit, but not for long enough. And the Saints, I think they'll be without a lot of their skill players, so I don't really like them. And the Cardinals didn't. They also coming off a loss. Their offense has not looked good the last couple of games, and their defense has actually been playing better. And I'm still thinking of too much of a home field advantage, especially on a Thursday night. Then you have the Cowboys versus the Lions. Cowboys coming off a loss versus the Eagles. Lions coming off a bye. Lions have a really explosive offense, but their defense is not good. And the Cowboys, they're getting Dak Prescott back. Their defense has been elite. And this one, Lions are coming off a bye. I think they're going to upset the Cowboys. You have the Packers versus the Commanders. Commanders coming off a really ugly win over the Bears, but they do have a mini bye and home field advantage. The Packers also coming off an ugly loss against the Jets, where the offense just could not function. Um, Commanders' defense has not been the best this year, but they did do well against the Bears, and their offense just looks terrible right now. In general, the Commanders' offense looks terrible, worse than Green Bay. I'm gonna take Green Bay. Then you have the Panthers versus the Buccaneers. Buccaneers, even though they didn't have a great game versus the um, didn't have a great game versus the Steelers. Offensive line could not protect Brady. Buccaneers pretty much own everybody in their division, and Carolina's tanking. I'm gonna take the Bucs. There you have an NFL Week 7 predictions.